Hi, Pastor Leigh here. In Proverbs 3:21-23 it says, "My child, don't lose sight of common sense and discernment. Hang on to them, for they will refresh your soul." They're like jewels on a necklace. They will keep you safe on your way, and your feet will not stumble. I don't know if you've ever been travelling with someone, and it's very important that you keep them in sight. Perhaps they're travelling in another vehicle in front of you, but they're the only one who knows the way where they're going. So if you lose sight of them, you end up getting in a panic because you don't know the route yourself. This verse reminds us not to underestimate the value of common sense and discernment in the Christian pilgrimage. The reality is, so many Christians feel like it's a virtue to become so hyper-spiritual that they forfeit God-given faculties of sound thinking, insight and instincts. Yet Proverbs states that we're not to lose sight of them. In fact, we've got to hang on to them, we've got to cling on to them as something very precious and helpful to us as we journey through life. Sometimes common sense and spiritual sense that we might refer to as discernment are seen as opposing principles, with spiritual sense being equated with the godly knowledge that is greater than common sense. I actually believe that common sense is also a gift from God to every person, so that we can process data, that we can analyse situations that we find ourselves in. Spiritual sense and common sense are meant to work hand in hand in a complementary way in our lives. It's been said that common sense is actually not that common. In fact, it's quite a rare thing for people to have and know. A key aspect of common sense is discretion, and not being too open about everything that's going on in our lives and situations. There are some people who disclose far too much information about themselves in an unwise and an unhealthy way in the public domain of social media, and through doing that they leave themselves open to misunderstanding, to misrepresentation. We need common sense to understand that there are some details, some aspects of our lives that we reserve the right to be shared only with trusted people, whether they are family members, parents, whether they are trusted church leaders, whether they are mentors in our lives, because we know that those people just want the very, very best for who we are. Proverbs 16:22 says, "Discretion is a life-giving fountain to those who possess it." Discernment, I think, is the wisdom to differentiate between times to be still and times to be active in pursuing the purposes of God with all our energy and passion. Discernment is the wisdom to know when to speak and when to tactfully remain silent. Discernment is the ability to know when to push forward and when to withdraw. Some people don't have the common sense to understand that their involvement in other people's tensions can be unhelpful and unwise. If someone has a gripe against another person, use your common sense. Don't stick your oar in. Don't get involved. If someone is negative and contentious, use your common sense. Don't associate with them, because otherwise you'll end up becoming like them. They will rub off on you. You'll be influenced by their attitudes and their gripes. Regularly read the biblical Proverbs. They will nourish and feed your common sense and your discernment, your discretion. They will invest in you a rich legacy of practical, common and spiritual sense to successfully do life by. This discipline will help you to keep great value and principles in sight, so that you never lose your way, you never deviate off the path that God has got for your life. God bless you.